when I was walking to go in, people pushed me down and I was shoved, elbowed multiple times. I was on the ground twice, and they were saying me to stop my violence while my hands were to my side.
But you seem like a creeper, bro. Oh, y'all, this is weird. This is so weird. You're giving kids anxiety and depression. Have fun, Satan.
Why are you doing that?
Hey, who are you with?
Not with anybody.
Why are you recording kids? Why are you recording people? Who are you with?
I'm not with anybody. I'm just a guy who heard about it and just wanted to check it out.
Why are you recording though? Stop.
Because I just wanted to come here and just take a peek.
Okay, but you're recording and it feels violating.
But you,
it really feels violating.
But you took a picture of me first. I didn't do anything.
The camera in my mom's face and it feels violating.
Don't follow nobody with a camera in their
I'm not following anybody.
They just want to incite you.
Around.
They just want to incite you.
I know, that's
how am I inciting you?
Nobody look at this guy.
I'm not here with anybody, man.
You can't follow you.
I get it. It's all good. It's all good. All right. No, seriously, I'm not here with anybody.
You're trying to incite people. You're trying to incite people. Because you're doing this shit.
Okay.
All right, you have
All right.
You're like a fucking idiot right now.
Okay.
People's movement is violence while they're shouting no violence. It's kind of hypocrisy. I don't really understand what's going on. I got pushed multiple times to the ground, but here we are today. People push people while shouting no violence. I don't understand. I really do not.
So you don't understand the message that's being passed from the...
Not at all. There's no reason to stop speech with violence. You should stop speech with other speech. That is it.
You were at the Ben Shapiro thing at Cal State
University LA. Yeah, I went there. I was there an hour early. I thought I would be, able to get ahead of the crowds. I didn't realize the crowds were the problem.
Why did you go?
I wanted to support free speech. I've heard Ben talk. He's very articulate. I wanted to see him in person, maybe get a chance to meet him, ask him a few questions. I was just interested.
So you get there, describe the scene.
I just thought there was a crowd of people waiting to get in. So I start walking forward to get through them, and I get to a wall of people who bump me down first, just bump into me and throw me down. And I didn't even know there was a wall or what was going on. It was very intense. There was about probably 150 to 200 people there.
Why was this human wall there?
The only thing I heard was either it was canceled, the event, some man told me that, and then later someone told me that anyone who supports Ben Shapiro supports white supremacy, and that's why they were there. So I don't know which is true.
You had a number of confrontations there, physical confrontations. I saw them, I filmed them. What happened there?
I was thrown to the ground, punched, people threw water at me. I was kicked whenever I was near people, they were kicking my shins. It was just violence, and they kept shouting no violence the entire time, which was really, really odd in my mind because, first off, a wall is violence. Stopping people's movement is a first act of violence. And they said I was provoking, I was trying to create a narrative. It was very interesting.
Were you scared at any point?
I don't know if I would say scared. I was a little intimidated. There was a lot of people there who were big and I didn't know what they were going to do. But I might be broken in my fear section.
So the allotted time comes when Mr. Shapiro is supposed to come and speak, and what happens?
I actually never knew when he got there because I couldn't hear anything. I was stuck inside a group of people. Pretty much my movement was stopped in every direction. They were telling me to leave, but there was no way for me to go. It was very odd.
Were there police involvement?
At one point in the beginning, the police tried to walk us in, but that was it. They never came to help again. And the Eagle security, which is this campus security, was literally just standing around watching this all happen.
So it turns out that Ben snuck in the back door and gave his speech. Do you know anything about that?
I heard afterwards that that's what happened. It seems a little, I don't know what to say. I was there in the front, other people were there. I think we should have gone through the front. I would have liked to see him and everyone stand up to the people who were being fascists.
I could understand that. What did you learn about free speech?
I learned it's very vulnerable and there needs to be warriors who defend it.
Explain more.
I really am shocked that people don't know that the heckler's veto isn't part of free speech. They also forget that free speech isn't just the right of the person to speak, but it's the right of the person to listen. And if you're not able to listen, you make a prison for your ideology and you can't change your current opinion. So they were literally making a prison for themselves. It was very, very odd.
Has this affected how you'll react in the future?
Well, it showed me that I reacted correctly and I will continue to react the way I have this time.
Thanks for taking the time, Jeff.
Oh, thank you.
My name's Sarah Williams.
And you attended the event yesterday at Cal State Los Angeles.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was very overwhelming and completely different than what I was expecting. I was not prepared for a melee and basically a riot. I just thought I would get to see a lecture on someone talking about free speech, which I think is a very important topic, especially in this time, this weird part of history. And I was not expecting to be met with so much vitriol and hatred and violence.
Describe the scene.
It was just a mass of people when you came in. There wasn't really any clarity on who was doing what, if people were just waiting for things, or if there was like a clear protest. That wasn't really clear at first. But once you tried to get towards the people who were organizing the event or towards the front door of the auditorium, people immediately started shoving you, spitting on you. I was called a racist cunt by grown men. At one point, a police officer tried to escort a group of us through the front door of the auditorium. A fight broke out someplace else. They had to run, go put that fire out. And the protesters who were supposedly protesting in peace, as they were screaming no violence, were punching me, kicking me.
You were physically assaulted.
I was physically assaulted and pinned against a wall and told there's no cop to help me now.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I mean, that's a little, I don't get intimidated too easily, but when you are literally up against a wall with hundreds of people in front of you who are clearly not being rational and logical, it's very intimidating and scary.
So the front entrance is blocked off, and I guess you heard that Ben was going to enter through the back.
I actually had no idea. It was just an accident, sort of. I was removed from the situation. A police officer saw what was happening to me. It was very strange. He was like, grab onto me, and sort of pulled me out of the crowd. I went outside. I was speaking to other police officers. They were just basically saying they were overwhelmed. I tried to talk to a campus security guard, and he said, I'm not a cop, it's not my problem. So they suggested I go down to the police department. I started walking to the police department, and a group of people sort of pushed me towards this back entrance. And they were like, come, follow us to safety, kind of thing. And I ended up in the auditorium where Ben was speaking.
And what was that like?
It was very strange because there was only about 10 of us at first. It was very heavily guarded. You were supposed to have a name on a list. They were considering not letting people in who had been assaulted and who had been waiting to come in to hear him speak because of the heightened security measures. They eventually let people in, and they were sort of sneaking more people in as the speech went on. So it was very strange because I knew there were like so many more people outside who wanted to come in, and I didn't understand sort of why we were being held hostage for a lecture on free speech. I mean, basic human rights.
So the speech is finished, and then what happens?
Ben suggested that perhaps we would all go and face the fascists together and walk through the front door, which we were all up for. Pretty much the crowd seemed very much in favor of. And he said that he needed to discuss the logistics of that. And he was taken aside and presumably talked to his team and police officers, and came back out and announced that the police were saying that we were in risk of life and limb, literally, from the protesters. If we left at that moment, he was going to be privately escorted through a secret passage, and that we were to remain in the room because all the other exits were blocked by protesters until the police said it was safe for us to leave.
Did people in the room, did you get a sense that they were afraid? Did they want to go out front?
Well, at first people were like, we don't care, like, let's do it, man, let's do it together. And they kept saying, like, no, it's really dangerous, we can't secure your safety, so we don't want to put you at risk. And then once he left, the thought was once he left, the protesters would dissipate and we could leave. And then people started to get worried because Ben was gone, we were by ourselves, we didn't know if we could leave. One person tried to open a door, other people freaked out, like, no, you're gonna let the people in. I mean, people felt threatened for their personal safety by the protesters who were supposedly saying they were nonviolent.
What are your final thoughts on this?
It just disheartens me to see a whole generation of people who are so lost and can't even see the hypocrisy of their actions. The same people who are screaming no violence are the same people who are punching and spitting at you. The same people who are saying don't protect hate speech are calling people racists, misogynists, supremacists without knowing them or their political positions, and so sort of afraid of the possibility of offense that they'd rather diminish one of the greatest ideals our country is founded on. And it's mind-blowing to me, really disturbing.
Do you fear for the future?
If the pendulum doesn't start swinging the other way, yes. I think, we'll be meeting with violent revolution again, because I think it's very important that we don't continue to let our rights erode. I think people get confused between the law of the First Amendment and the ideal of free speech. And I think that ideal is very important, and we've been giving it more away over time because we don't want to offend anybody and we don't want people's feelings to be hurt. And I think once that happens, you're in really dangerous territory, and it's a slip slide to fascism pretty quickly.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for talking to me.